Shalom, everyone. This is Brother Doug. I'm going to be doing a little expose today. It's going to be called Lillith Exposed, the contradictions of the story of the creation of man. According to Jewish scholars and rabbis of Judaism, supposedly there's two contradictory accounts of the creation of Adam and Eve, or what they would like to call Adam and his first wife. In Genesis 1:26-27, they say that there's room in there to have this fable of Lilith to actually be biblical. We're going to be exposing that. So we're going to be diving right into Genesis chapter 1, verses 26-27 to examine their claim. And just a little backstory, Lilith, supposedly Lilith is this first wife of Adam that became a demon, that some Jewish rabbis even attribute to that she is the serpent in the garden that deceived Adam and Eve. So we're going to expose that whole thing right now. So please follow with me to Genesis chapter 1, verses 26-27, okay? And it says here, I'm going to be reading from the Septuagint, the earliest Old Testament we have available to us. The Septuagint was actually the Old Testament that Yahusha, the Messiah, and his disciples actually read from. So here we go. It says in Genesis 1:26, and Yahuwah said, let us make man according to our image. This is, the plurality of the Father, Yahuwah, and the Son, Yahusha, being one. So, and don't get it confused. I don't believe in a Trinity. The Father and Son are one in physicality. They are not two separate people. They're not three separate people. So not trying to go too much on a tangent, but they are plural and singular at the same time. Yahuwah, the Father, Yahusha, the Son, the Messiah. Okay, so it says, and Yahuwah said, let us make man according to our image. Now, there's not two images. There's one image. And likeness. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the flying creatures of heaven, and over the cattle and all the earth, and over the reptiles that creep on the earth. And Yahuwah made man according to the image of Yahuwah. He made him male and female. He made them. Now, from the surface, it seems like this supports the Lilith claim. The only problem here is this is an overview, okay? If you understand verses 26-27 correctly, this is kind of an overview of what just occurred, that he just created the first human beings, okay? The first man and the first woman, okay? It doesn't go into how they were created or the process that Yahuwah used to create them, okay? So we got to understand that too. So now we're going to go to Genesis chapter 2, and actually I want to actually go into here and see. There's a verse that I really want to dive into. It talks about he created Adam from the earth, from the dirt of the ground. So I really want to dive deep into the actual explanation of how man was created. So first we're going to go to Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. So follow with me, guys. So we just did Genesis 1:26-27, whoever's coming by. And this is an expose on the fable, the mythology of Adam's first wife, Lilith, which, as far as I see so far, is not in Scripture. Nowhere does it say Adam had a wife other than Eve. So we're going to go to Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. We're going to start in there, but we're going to go throughout most of the chapter. And it says, and Yahuwah formed the man out of the dust of the earth. So here's a more explanation. Genesis 1:26-27 is an overview. Genesis 2 is telling you how it came to be, how mankind was actually created. Okay, what source Yahuwah used to create man. It says, and Yahuwah formed man out of the dust of the earth. So we were created from dust, and breathed upon his face the breath of life. And the man became a living being, a living soul. And Yahuwah planted a garden eastward in Eden, and placed there the man whom he had formed. And Yahuwah made to spring up also out of the earth every tree beautiful to the eye and good for food, and the tree of life in the middle of the garden, And the tree of learning the knowledge of good and evil. I like how the Septuagint actually says learning the knowledge of good and evil, maybe preluding to why Adam wasn't supposed to eat that fruit, neither Eve either. Anyway, we're going to be continuing here. Verse 10. Proceeds out of Eden to water the garden there. It divides into 4 heads. The name of the one Phism, this is which encircles the whole land of Evilat, where there is gold. And the gold of that land is good. There also is carbuncle and emerald. So those are stones, okay? And the name of the second river is the Gihon. This is which encircles the whole land of Ethiopia. So Ethiopia is probably where the creation started, most likely. And the third river is the Tigris, which flows forth over against the Assyrians. And the fourth river is the Euphrates. And Yahuwah Elohim took the man whom he had formed and placed him in the garden of delight to cultivate it and keep it. And Yahuwah Elohim gave a charge to Adam, saying, of every tree which is in the garden you may freely eat, but the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, of it you shall not eat, but in whatever day you eat of it you shall surely die. Okay? Then in the next verse here, this is the one I really want to get into. It says, and Yahuwah Elohim said, it is not good that man should be alone. Let us make for him a helpmate suitable to him. And Yahuwah formed yet farther out of the earth all the wild beasts of the field and all the birds of the sky, and brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. And whatever Adam called any living creature, that was the name of it. So, and then obviously Yahuwah gives Adam his wife from his rib. So as we go on to further on here, it says, and Adam gave names to the cattle and the birds of the sky and to all the wild beasts of the field. But for Adam there was not found a help meet like to himself. And Yahuwah brought a trance upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and filled up the flesh instead thereof. And Yahuwah formed the rib which he took from Adam into a woman and brought her to Adam. And Adam said, this now is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of her husband. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they shall be one flesh. So, to conclude, everyone, because I need to actually go on, I'm actually missing fellowship with my brother and sisters. So, just to conclude this little expose, I am going to be ending now with, I hope this helped you out, clear the air about this Lilith fable. Hopefully this helped you guys make sense of the 2 creation accounts, supposedly contradictory, which I really don't see them being contradictory. One is explaining how the creation actually happened and what Yahuwah used to create Adam and Eve, and how Yahuwah created. All right.